Hello, my name is Alun. My pronouns are he, him, and today I'm running another session in our extended series of Fate of the Quadrant. This is my fate hack inspired by Modiphius' Star Trek Adventures. This game, as all my games, are organized as part of the Open Hearth Gaming Community's monthly calendar. If you don't know about Open Hearth, please just Google search Open Hearth Gaming Community and come join us. In fact, I still have some slots available in my PBTA game that I'm running as part of our first shared Hearth open gaming weekend, where people can just come along and try playing online and playing with us. Look us up. But now to business. Well, I think we'll go straight to a log entry. I think, as we usually do, the USS Montgomery, a modified Nova class starship. We see her probably orbiting a planet, I think, and then we hear the voiceover.
Yeah. Chief Medical Officer's personal log, stardate 48453.4. We've just received news that the shuttle transferring the surviving drone 108 to a secure holding facility pending further medical assessment has fallen victim of a Breen privateer operating in this and neighboring sectors. The news of my former patient 508 is a little more encouraging. The crew of the USS Fleming have confirmed that she is Emily Harcourt, a civilian who disappeared over a decade ago, and that her physical recovery is proceeding well. As a medical transport, they are better equipped to support her. They are less encouraging about her emotional recovery and the impact of my surgery on her mental state. I know what the Borg did to her was monstrous, and it was the only reasonable thing was to undo it as best as we could. I just hope that she will come to see things that way as well in the future.
Thank you for that. And then we cut straight to the captain's ready room, where we see 733T standing to attention in front of the captain's desk. Captain Prell is in full flow. You abandoned your post on the bridge to pursue your personal agenda. You knew Chief Chew was trapped in the transporter room and no other appropriate operations officer could reach the bridge. You left Koenig to not just run science, but also to man the op station. You let your colleague down and you let the ship down. I don't care that you were able to recover one of the drones. Perhaps I should have expected nothing less of someone like you. I've read your file and that you claim to have freed yourself from the collective, the only example of such a thing ever recorded. I'm also aware that you have demonstrated a degree of control over Borg drones that is equally unique. I believe both these things are a concern to the safety and security of this ship, and you should know that I have made my concerns clear in my report to Starfleet. I believe you are lucky not to be facing a court-martial. Do you have any comment?
No comments.
Dismissed.
I'll leave.
And then I think I'm interested in giving members of the crew a chance to have some scenes together. So I'm not sure whether anyone is keen to have a scene with one of the other bridge crew, Vassal or AD.
A day, yeah. A day and 733T, I think, after that. But
okay.
If anyone would like to insert a scene without 733T for pacing's sake, give it some time. No takers. So yeah, a day will.
Actually, I do have a scene just because it's classic Star Trek. I think there's a scene in one of those sort of generic rooms, and I think there's Koenig and maybe a day and a couple of other sort of people that we haven't seen before, and I've got what looks like an absurd loot and the others have wild musical instruments, and we are trying to play some kind of quartet, and it is just not going well. And finally I turn to Ade and I say, look, I know this is a Bajoran instrument, but I want to honor you for this ceremony that you want to hold, but
I'm so honored, but you're holding it upside down.
Oh, good. I was just afraid it was my fingers were wrong. Okay. And I think then we start again, and we it does a little bit more before that the weird space music finishes, and then I think I will say to a day as we're putting things away, I will say, I hope everything went well with turning over the priest. I don't know what to call him.
Oh. When I was a kid, on the ship, they had, you know what the orbs are, right?
Yeah.
Well, my family's not particularly in the Bajoran faith, but the prophets are real. I saw something when I touched that orb when I was just a girl, and I didn't know what it was until I walked into that room and I saw that asshole. And the prophets seemed to have set me on a path to make sure that asshole wasn't any more of an asshole than he was, and to set him straight. So I don't know if that's my purpose in life, but it seems to have worked. I guess maybe he just, maybe somewhere deep down, he's not as much of an asshole as he seems. But yeah, it turned out okay. I mean, he's there's a lot of tensions on, well, I say on Bajor, but I've only been that time we docked for shore leave. But yeah, maybe I'll go back. Maybe I'll check in on how he is one day.
And I think Koenig's like scientific thinking is like there is a moment where maybe he wants to, well, actually, and maybe explain something, but he stops himself and he says, I'm glad, Lieutenant, that it seemed like a good thing.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you didn't give me the lecture on wormhole entities. I've listened to that at least 5 times since joining Starfleet.
However, I am inclined to compel my obsessions can get in the way, and offer you a fate point to.
I would say, though, maybe at some point you could sit down and tell me what you saw with the orb. Like, I'd just like to get a picture of like how that works. Maybe a little bit, just for my own sense of how it. I mean, because I've only seen replicas, and there's some theories. There's a very interesting theories about this, and I think I start to go off before your eyes roll in the back of your head.
Yeah. Have you read the work of Professor blah 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 from the Daystrom Institute on the?
Yes.
Yeah, he posits that the wormhole entities are actually 7-dimensional creatures akin to the Qs, but blah 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 blah. Yeah,
Squire of Golthos, all that. Perfect.
And cut. Fine. Ade wanted a scene with 733T. Is there anything that Hugo wants to do before we get to that?
No, I don't. I don't have a clear idea. Maybe if something comes to me, I'll bring it up.
So, Ade, where does this scene with 733T occur?
I'm imagining down in engineering, perhaps, where where we see 733T at work rather than bossing around the engineering crews we typically see within sessions.
What
You know,
are you
maybe
doing down there, 733T?
I think working on that gravimetric beam that we got some info from, and myself and Koenig said we were gonna
Okay.
turn into some sort of weapon or shield.
And yeah, a day I think comes up, and as you're reaching for a piece of equipment, she hands you the small flashlight that's got a green light on the end of it that blinks and flashes and has been turned into some sort of Star Trekky type device, right? And she goes, "Hey, Chief, how's things? Vasal, well, someone told me about the captain's words with you."
Yes, I faced a disciplinary situation with him. Clearly, he is from a misguided position, but that can only be expected. He can only look back on memories of one person going back time, when I have access to collective memories of many things going back many times. The actions I took, I believed, were the best course of actions. I will forgive him for his ill-informed decisions.
Well, I mean, that's kind of creepy, but also reassuring. So, great. I just want you to know that, well, you
Our
had my
mission
back
was a
there.
success, and I am proud of your part in it.
Well, that's what I want to say. You had my back, I've got your back, right?
Indeed. Which reminds me, I have been going through crew notes, and I've noticed you have not done a rotation of engineering yet.
Oh, well, I've got to go now, Chief. Maybe we can pencil that in later. But they really need me in pilot the shuttle, keep the sail flying things straight.
True, but a well-rounded skill base will help any officer progress.
Yeah. And you see exchange a glance with one of the engineering team that works on
Is that slow sort of move backwards,
yeah.
as if your feet aren't moving, but you are moving.
Yeah. Oh, they need me on the bridge. See ya. She literally makes a little noise with her mouth as she turns around and walks off. Yeah.
I'll sort of roll my eyes, but it's expected.
Yeah. I think the feeling for a day's feeling is that she likes 733C, but she wouldn't want to work under them.
I'm just going to check in with Hugo, just in case anything has come to mind.
I have an idea for a brief scene with Koenig. And I think this is Hugo looking to find Koenig for like a private conversation. I don't know, where would I find you?
I think probably, we've established that he spent a good deal of time in his lab. So if you just swing by, you can corner him there, or if you need to like get out of this crowded space. But lots of experiments in progress. Like I have a full list of, in this area, Starfleet would like these things examined, and I'm trying to tick as many things off. This like a real obsession of his is getting this backlog of things cleared up anywhere they go. And Dr. Sharp.
Oh yes, Lieutenant Koenig. I was wondering if I could pick your brain a little bit about well, I have a question.
Sure, come in. Just move that model, put it over there, and let me clear this off.
Is it fine here, or
yeah? That's yeah. It's just gently. Yeah, you can sit.
Yes. Looking around for a chair that doesn't have stuff piled up all over.
Here, take this one, and I'll clear another one. So,
Thank you. Yes, after this recent experience with the Borg drones, I was wondering if 733T, does she get some sort of regular checkups or something? Do you handle that, or I couldn't find anything in the medical records?
mostly it's the use of the regeneration bay. That's been the primary source of care, and I don't want to say maintenance, but it's what keeps 733T operating. I know when we've landed at star bases, they've had medical checkups. I mean, mostly what I do is I make sure there's no I check the nanite concentrations every week to make sure that those haven't accelerated above a certain level. But it's been made clear to me that approaching that like a science project is, what's the word, dehumanizing. And so I've been trying to be better about that. I know before you got here, 733T did have a full checkup after the injuries from the previous incident.
Oh, maybe those just haven't been properly logged yet. I look into it.
And I'm glad that was what you were here down, not to ask me about how I have been using the burn treatments that you gave me. They're okay. They make me a little wired. There's a lot of stimulants in them, and so like I haven't really slept for a bit. So I don't know if there's anything I should be doing on that score.
It sounds like perhaps we should reduce the dosage a bit. I will.
They're just not mixing well with the coffee.
Perhaps you should cut back a bit on the coffee. I mean, you'll have to choose at this point: sleep or pain, I guess. So
let me make a pro-con list on that. I'll get back to you, Doctor.
And that does remind me, actually, I think that moderate, heavily burned consequence is probably now a mild, wired on the meds consequence.
Fine.
And anyone with a mild consequence can erase that along with any stress that's hanging over from last time. And then I think we're still in engineering with 733T. And there's a kind of ping from a wall comms unit. And up we see personal message for 733T.
Who's it from?
It's from a Commodore Sloan.
Yeah, I'll take it, senior officer.
And do you take, because you have an office down there, do you take it in your office or take it in main engineering?
I'll take it in main engineering. Commodore.
And I think I've added Commodore Sloan to the very top line of the NPC sheet.
Commodore Sloan.
Lieutenant, and you can see he's clearly looking behind you. I see you're in main engineering. Could we have this conversation in a more private location?
Certainly, Commodore. I'll move to my office. in engineering. Transferring you now.
And so we cut to you sat in your office, not unlike the number one's ready room, to be honest, down here. And Commodore Sloan says, this is a sensitive subject, Lieutenant, but I've just read your captain's report on events around Gemelon 5 and subsequently on the ship. It doesn't sound like he much cares for your approach. Is that a fair assessment?
Like all living beings, he is entitled to his own opinion.
Well, I kind of wanted to reassure you that not everyone in Starfleet has the same views, perhaps prejudices, as Captain Prell. It may be that his view of you is colored by his previous experiences.
Quite probably, every living creature will make their decisions based on previous experiences and teachings.
It certainly sounds like he's angling to get you transferred out of the Montgomery, and were that to happen, I believe I might well have a post for you that you'd find perhaps more conducive of your sense of what Starfleet is actually for.
I would be happy to review such an offer.
Well, I'm not in a position to make it yet, but all I'd say was stay in touch. Would you just keep me informed about how things are going on the Montgomery? How the rest of the mission goes. Then I'll have the kind of evidence base that I can whisper into the right ears.
Of course, Commodore.
Just keep that between you and I for now, eh?
Of course.
Sloan out. And then I think, this is Prell, command crew to the bridge.
To the bridge.
And I'm guessing that given main engineering is quite a long way down in the bowels of the ship, 733T is the last to arrive. Anders, who do you want to be on the bridge? We're missing someone for the tactical station if you wanted to take that role.
Yeah, I can do that.
Fine. So as 733 comes on...
Chief Medical Officer, I was just watching Next Generation, and Beverly Crusher is in that room.
It's all the time.
Yeah.
She never spends any time in sickbay at all, apart from when there's emergency.
Yeah.
And the same is true of Bones McCoy. So yeah, I mean, if Anders, it's up to you. You can be Hugo on the bridge, or you can be the Villic on the bridge. Crazy man takes your choice.
I think I'll go for Hugo. I just have a bit more opportunity to interact with the other pieces.
Yeah, because I've just remembered your wish from last time, which was to not be pinned into the sickbay. So my apologies for appearing to pin you in the sickbay. And as 733T comes onto the bridge, the view screen shows an alien. I think that you recognize him as a Valerian, and I think I've put a picture of the Valerian way down here on row 115 of the NPC sheet. And he says, this is Captain Das of the Valerian Ore Carrier 1367, carrying minerals from Maria 4 to Regulat. We would be grateful if you could confirm our position, Montgomery. The Ferengi subspace beacon at Uzek Alpha has ceased transmission, so our navigator has been unable to carry out an accurate triangulation. Helm?
I'm really sorry. A message came through just at that point and completely just disrupted my brain. I really apologize for not paying attention at that point. Sorry.
Then let me read that again. This is Captain Das of the Valerian Ore Carrier 1367, carrying minerals from Maria 4 to Regulac. We would be grateful if you could confirm our position, Montgomery. The Ferengi subspace beacon at Uzek Alpha has ceased transmission, so our navigator has been unable to carry out an accurate triangulation. They've dropped out of warp in orbit in the same planet you're orbiting. Helm, what's your thinking at this point?
I see no immediate risk to the ship in sharing our position. They're clearly aware of our presence, Captain. The Montgomery is far in excess of any offensive capabilities of this, even with the damage from the last mission.
Yes, agreed. We're obliged to provide aid to travelers. Operations. What do we know about this beacon?
They've reported it not broadcasting. Let's check that first.
That's probably then bounced to the science station for long-range sensors, yeah?
So in that case, that's conduct a sensor sweep.
I think it is.
Sensors of 3, I believe, on the ship.
Yep.
So I'm rolling with a +3 with a potentially 2 shift benefit if I roll well.
Difficulty is 4 simply because it's a long-range scan.
More than happy to assist if you need it.
There you go.
That would be great. So rolling with a +4 versus a 4 with a potential extra shifts. So that's -2.
And a teamwork bonus from 733T, remember, meaning you're 5.
Is a 1. Would be a 3 +1 is a 4. So I'm at a 2 right now. I don't want to embarrass myself here right now. So let's tie that. I think with the science officer, just my high concept, I'll spend that fate point to get that up to a 4. So that's a tie.
Okay, fail or the GA may offer success at a minor narrative cost. I think that I'm prepared to offer success. You won't be able to find it. It isn't broadcasting. But you're not sure if that is because it's not broadcasting or something is interfering with its broadcast.
We're definitely not picking up the signal, Captain, but I can't yet identify the reason for that. It's the transmission may have been cut off or there may be other interference.
And Captain Das kind of continues. Do you share that with the Valerians? What do we think?
We're just checking his statement, basically. So currently his statement seems true.
Because in which case
Koenig said it's true. It's true.
It's always true. Yeah, Koenig's never wrong.
Right.
Das continues, we've tried hailing them, but their entire comm system must be out. The last we heard from them was about a week ago when they reported discovery of a previously unknown dark matter nebula on the edge of Breen space. So thank you for your help, Montgomery. We will proceed. Any other questions for the Valerians?
I think it would maybe more come from Koenig as a science officer, right? This dark matter object, but otherwise,
I mean, the way this happens on Star Trek is Vassal says, Koenig, what's this stuff about dark matter?
Lieutenant Koenig, are you aware of this dark matter phenomenon on the edge of the sector?
A newly discovered dark matter nebula, that's not something I'd heard of recently. Dark matters, and then do I roll or do you want me to extrapolate or what?
I'm very happy for you to rock and roll with that.
It's believed that dark matter is a secondary byproduct of the collision of this universe with another one. There's some theories that it actually is bleed off from a mirror universe, but that's not proven yet. But a nebula with that amount of material is striking.
I will ask. We've still got Captain Das on the view screen, right?
Yes.
I will. I'll say, tell me, Captain. Did the it's a Ferengi station, right? That's
Yes, some kind of outpost.
Yeah.
I've never been there. We just use them as a reference point for navigation purposes.
Do you know if they'd intended to investigate the phenomenon?
I've no idea. Our sensors couldn't pick it up, but then we wouldn't have sensors like yours.
Well, we must always remember the rules of profit. Rule number 25. Every opportunity can be exploited. Perhaps they've taken a look and it has disrupted their system somehow. Do you believe that you will be safe to continue your voyage, Captain Das?
Oh, now that you've confirmed our location, we can set course for Regulac. Regulac, for what it's worth, is in Cardassian space.
He's a free trader.
He's a free trader. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, give our regards to the Cardassians.
Of course. Thank you. Das out. And they kind of slowly move out of orbit and go to warp. There is, Keenek, you do know there is one other dark matter nebula in this area of space. It's in Cardassian space, as it happens. If you go to the LCARS tab, you'll find it not far from Gamma 7, as it happens. But it's a small agglomeration of dark matter.
It's in a different sector of space.
It is.
Now, I will say that there is another dark matter nebula nearby, but it's a completely different sector of space. I don't know, and unless somebody's dragging nebulae around.
Because you'll see just at the top of the LCARS map, Breen space is kind of up and along from where you are. So with that, I guess you proceed with your planetary survey, unless anyone wants to do something else. Dr. Sharp, anything from you on the bridge?
I think I'm mostly trying to observe 733T without being too obvious about it.
Let's see how obvious you are, shall we?
Yeah,
sure. I think this is a soft skill, so I think it's insight against 733T's command.
Sure. Let me see. So my insight is 3. Nice. See what happens.
And I'm going to spend a fate point to hostilely invoke your visible cybernetics make me nervous. So that will increase the difficulty to 733T's command +2.
Well, I roll boxcars, so that's flat. I'm at a 3.
So command is 1. That's against 3.
I'm at 2.
Oh, so you are. Oh, are you?
No, I'm at 2 total. I roll.
Right.
So yeah,
success.
Indeed.
What is there anything 733T that Sharp notices that would worry him?
Everything should worry him.
What do you think you see, Sharp?
Does 733T, like when you're using your station, do you use it like a human? Are you like interfacing with the controls in the usual way?
Yeah. I've got physical hands. I haven't got one of those sort of like manipulator arms. Well, I've got a full bodysuit and a cranial sort of covering. The bodysuit is pretty much a bodysuit rather than sort of like cybernetic limbs.
Yeah,
Yeah, so,
there was an option for a freed Borg to have capacity to interface directly, and I think Paul chose not to take that option as a stunt.
Cool. Yeah, I think I find that a little bit comforting that there's nothing obviously cybernetic, I guess, like going on with your how you're working. I think it's, even when I'm trying to look at other things, I find my eyes drawn back to you just because it's a disconcerting presence too.
I'll throw you a biscuit. You definitely know that the cranium sort of covering I've got is to aid heat dissipation through increased brain activity.
Ooh, that's very cool. Yeah, I think.
Not that I'm any smarter than anybody else, because I'm not.
No, but it's very cool. I think I'm like taking a surreptitious tricorder reading of like the temperature, that sort of thing.
And I think the tricorder will also show what I think we've had revealed in the fiction, which is that 733T is does have the capacity to communicate with drones. It's not subspace communication with the collective, but he can communicate with drones. And I guess there's just that, there's just on the tricorder, there's a signal, a carrier wave for that. And Prel says, okay, ladies and gentlemen, back to the survey.
Captain, the survey will be here at any time. Do you not feel that the situation with the Ferengi beacon, that is a hazard to shipping traffic in the area? No broadcasting from the beacon. I would say that is a more pressing matter than a routine planet survey.
Let's take this conversation to the briefing room, shall we, ladies and gentlemen? Come on, crew, with me. And we cut to the briefing room around the oval table. And Prel is open to views. He'll start with Vassal as number one.
We could send an away team, sir. Continue our duty with the main Montgomery and take one of the shuttles to investigate.
Okay. Kinnick?
General Order 237 says that in the event of malfunctions in standard traffic controls in space, we are required to investigate.
Dr. Sharp, a view on the crew?
If we send a shuttle, they would be more exposed in case this is some sort of intentional sabotage. On the other hand, that does seem fairly unlikely, so that I would lean towards that.
What I want each of you to do is to select someone from your department to remain here and continue with the survey using the Aero Shuttle. The Montgomery will set course for Uzek Alpha. Chief Chew is our only current operations officer, 733T, that we've had defined.
How recovered is he?
Well, let's have a look, shall we? I think that he had a mild Ferasan bite. So I think I'm prepared to say that that's been treated since last time. So is he your nominated ops officer for this?
I definitely think so, but yeah, we could have him with a good scar. Even though I'm sure a doctor could easily remove a scar, but let's have him sort of. I'm sure he's penciled in for some surgery at a later date. Yeah, he looks a bit war torn.
I don't think we have a secondary supporting character for science yet.
No.
Is there someone you want to rough out to
Yeah,
send on the survey mission?
I will put somebody together.
Thank you. Vasal, you are a day on the aero shuttle.
The survey, as opposed to the
to visiting
the
Uzek
Ferengi
Alpha.
outposts. Yeah, I think a day on the aero shuttle. Yeah.
Fine. And we created, I think, an NPC last time, and a Dr. Johnson, who I took the liberty of adding a picture to up on the top line of NPCs. What about him? We won't flesh him out yet. We'll wait and see if we need the details yet. But he seems the logical person to accompany the survey team. And I'm guessing that Tavalic will identify somebody from the security detail to accompany the aero shuttle, which again we'll worry about when we need to. And cut to seeing the aero shuttle, dropping out at the bottom of the saucer section and heading down to the planet. And Prel says, once the aero shuttle's away, set course for Uzek Alpha, Vasal.
Aye, sir.
And there's a kind of satisfying sense of having got ahead of the game. I think I'd quite like Anders. I'd like you to play Captain Prel at this point, because once you're in motion, once you're at warp, and at maximum warp, this is only it's slightly across the boundary into the next sector, so it's not far away. It's only a matter of hours away, maybe 12 hours away. Once you're well on your way, you get a recorded message from Outpost Gamma 7, where Commander Latal has left a message. This is Commander Latal. I'm getting complaints about the loss of a navigation beacon in your sector or near your sector. The Ferengi are obliged by treaty to support interstellar navigation in their sphere of influence, and I can make no sense of their excuses. You are the only ship within convenient reach of the outpost. Your orders are to get them to run the beacon back, turn the beacon back on, offering any necessary help. Latal out. What do you send to Latal? Now, Anders, I don't think you've had much to do with Latal in the time you've been with us. Latal and Prel don't get on. They're both commanders, but technically Latal outranks him because he runs the local outpost. Mm-hmm. So what's Prel's response? What does he send back?
I think something perhaps not as overtly dismissive as "thank you for telling me how to do my job. I was already on my way there," but with that that undertone.
Thank you. Then let's cut to approaching Uzek Alpha. I think I'll give you some more long-range scan information just before you get there. It's clear that the Ferengi, or the Valerians' interpretation of the Ferengi, got the details wrong, because the nebula is between you and Uzek Alpha, not beyond Uzek Alpha near the Breen. So clearly somebody's messed up the maths. But when the Montgomery drops out of warp, at Uzek Alpha, science. The entire system is gone, as are the stars beyond it. There are, though, 4 Breen ships in the vicinity, and they are firing at something. What do you do?
Orders,
Red
Captain.
alert!
Red
There
alert.
is that stunned silence on the bridge when you drop out of warp, and there's just, the starfield is empty.
I'll begin doing long range, like localized system scans. What is going on? That's the most important thing to learn right now.
Active sensors give you nothing at all. Nothing comes back from active sensors. So you resort to using passive sensors, which makes the difficulty greater. So difficulty is 5.
Okay.
For this conductor sensor sweep.
I will again move over and assist.
Okay.
Keeping the sensors from the op station.
So that's a 4. We need to know this. So I will spend another fate point to kind of breaking this problem down as best I can, having to move to the passive, which will make it a 6, which means I get 3 shifts worth of effect.
Okay, so it becomes success with style. You will have a boost related to this. But what I can tell you is that, as I say, active sensors give you nothing. Passive sensors reveal that this dark space is emitting no radiation nothing at all is coming out of it. And when you try to bounce active sensors off it, they just don't come back. You get that one for just success. And then I can tell you a second thing, which is that those Breen ships appear to be firing into this blank space, which fills the view screen. And as far as you can see, extends for a significant distance, left and right, as you've approached it. Is there another question you want me to ask, or do you want to tell me to tell you a third thing?
So right now, all we see is ourselves, the Breen ship, nothing.
4 Breen ships.
4 Breen ships, and nothing else.
It's like someone really messed up the green screen.
And I think that is good. Like what is the passive bounce back I'm getting from wherever their weapons are targeted? What am I getting from that?
I think what I can tell you is actually something about the Breen. The Breen are losing power, or they're using much more power than those weapons should be taking. So there is something amiss with them. And they also appear to be accelerating away from you.
And I will pass that on to 733T and say it may be a problem with their particular ship, or it may be something happening in the area, but we need to be monitoring power levels immediately at level 4 diagnostic level.
Agreed. I'll get on it straight away. But can I suggest that output of power may have a exponentially negative effect? The more power they're expanding is having a negative effect on what they're doing. It clearly is not having a positive effect.
Just to double check there, just to clarify, when we say that the Breen ships are accelerating away from us, that means that they are going towards the Black Nebula, right?
Yes, because I was just about to say to you, Vassal, the Montgomery, though you have come to all stop after coming out of warp and going, did we say red alert? I think we did, didn't we?
Yeah.
Because I have to change my indicator, otherwise I'd never know. So at red alert, you come to all stop, but you don't. The Montgomery is continuing to move forward. So while 733T is thinking about power levels and monitoring what's going on,
Vassal immediately, not asking, not waiting for any sort of instruction or whatever, right? Captain, we're experiencing some kind of pull from the phenomena, reversing full reverse.
Reversing engines does not have the effect that you expect.
I immediately shift the engine.
Hang on. You have an option, 733T. Do you want to reduce engines by 2 or divert a total of 2 from other systems to keep engines at 2? Because as soon as Vassal hits, reverse, your dials go.
What for power usage, but what effect has that had on movement?
You're continuing to move forward.
Has it accelerated?
It has.
And I'll turn to Vassal and say, cut the braking action. It's actually having it's acting in reverse. You're accelerating the ship.
So 733T, where do you want to take this power from? Do you want to knock engines down from 3 to 1, or knock some other systems down by a total of 2 in order to maintain your engines?
So are you saying the engines are damaged now?
No, I'm saying that there's a power drain from them that it means you have to turn off the supply to some other systems. So either one other system is going to go down by 2, or 2 systems are going to go down by 1 each.
Well, let's deplete the engines, because that sort of sounds what Vassal has done.
Okay, so engines drop from 3 to 2. Now, what are you going to do about that? Now I've got the kind of stat bit done.
I will try and immediately. I gotta say, I don't think Vassal trusts this idea of like cutting the engines entirely when there's an act on the ship. So he'll try and maneuver us parallel, like take us
across the front of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, arrest our forward momentum and go side. Like bank the ship.
Bank the ship. You do bank the ship, but you continue to move towards the. And the thing is, this is an enormous space in front of you.
Captain, the Monty's still being pulled in.
This is sickbay to Dr. Sharp. Doctor, we're getting reports of people fainting, on all decks, and at that point, someone on the bridge faints.
Same here on the bridge. See what you can do about it, and I'll rush to this person.
Fine. Let's have you, be a medic. Let's have you roll to, I think, overcome, to diagnose what's up with this person. Okay. Goes the medical tricorder.
Mm-hmm.
So I think difficulty here is only 2.
Yep. Oh, that's good, because that's a -4 on the dice. So I still need some.
Clearly, something very complex is going on when it looked very simple.
Yeah.
You could spend a fate point mechanically to re-roll.
Yeah, I think I'll do that.
Which of your aspects do you think gives you the lines on this?
Well, youngest TMO in the fleet seems.
Yeah, you are as good as they get. So spend a fate point, get a re-roll.
That's better. That's +1 on the dice, which puts me at a 5.
Versus 2 is success with style. So I can tell you that it's an odd combination of symptoms. Blood pressure is fluctuating because it looks like heart rhythm is erratic, but you're also picking up erratic neural activity, unpredictable neural activity. Electrical activity in the brain is in flux. And if you want to cash in that success with style, I'll tell you a bit more.
Yeah, let's do that.
It's as if the electrical energy that the body generates in order to run, to run the system is being sapped. Your immediate kind of response is to apply a stimulant just to help the patient deal with it. And I think all of you will feel a degree of lightheadedness, with perhaps the exception of 733T, who's got less biological systems to run.
But am I losing power?
You are.
So mine's probably more measurable.
Indeed so. Yeah, you've got a
the dial's going.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the situation. Vassal has tried to kind of steer away from it, but given how big it is, you're still being drawn towards it.
I think I'll just call out that biological energy drain as well. I will continue to monitor.
And finally, before we go to our commercial break, because we need a bit of a da-dum, Keenek, would you like to have another go with the scan with your sensors? This time difficulty is only 2.
Okay. I've also got that boost left over, so I'm going in again, trying to get a sense of what's going on. So 2 is a 5. So that's a 5 plus 2 effect is 5 levels of effect.
Wow, that is just, you know everything about this. So
Galaxy Brain.
It's not entirely the case that you are being drawn towards it. That is true, but it is also moving, which is pretty unusual for a dark matter nebula, if that's what this is. Okay. And by taking a kind of reverse reading on the stars behind you that you can still see, Keenek, you can get a sense of heading and speed at which it's moving. And what that tells you, and you throw it up onto the view screen, is that there's a dotted line from your current position running down towards the Dreon system. And your estimate is that this phenomenon will reach the Dreon system in a matter of days. And there is a Bajoran colony on Dreon 7, founded by refugees when their homeworld was occupied. And then a slightly kind of broader pathway, which suggests that there is a reasonable chance that once it passes Dreon, it could reach Gamma 7. Ops. That's when you pick up a broad spectrum transmission from the Breen. And what we see, this is just broadcasting. The subspace isn't working. They are broadcasting just into the dark. And you see, those who are familiar with the Breen, they have these helmets. You can't see their features. So all you have is a figure slumped over their command console, saying, or the universal translator says, weapons are dead, crew efficiency declining, engines unable to break us free. We have failed to find any of the planets of the Galluric system or the billions of Breen inhabitants that this thing swallowed. And then all 4 ships disappear. And that's when we go to commercial break. Back in our seats at 10 past the hour? Fine. See you then. we return for our commercial break to some dramatic music. That plays over. Of course, we come back to the command crew in the briefing room on deck 1. And Prel is at the end of the table wanting some answers and some solutions. Ops, what have you got for me? (733T), what have you got for me?
What is the estimated time of impact with the wall?
That's a dramatically difficult question to answer.
Based on current trajectory, acceleration, and speed.
At the end of this scene, I will be applying another power reduction. And at the end of every subsequent scene, I will be applying a power reduction. To give you some idea that the clock is ticking. What do you have to tell me, Ops?
No matter what the output the engines are, we cannot output the drain. We must find either a shielding solution or some way to preserve our current power.
Chief, you previously suggested that whatever this phenomenon is, it is causing an exponential effect whenever the Breen or ourselves direct energy in the area. Perhaps if we were to diminish our energy output, then we would be absorbed or drawn towards this phenomena at a slower rate. Buy ourselves some time.
I definitely think that would be worth exploring.
Nick?
Don't know enough about the phenomena. There are passive sensory things going on out there. We're getting readings in a very different way. I would suggest that we take the ship's probes and we launch one in each of the 4 cardinal directions and see what happens with the different spatial configurations within here. Is this a matter of a homogeneous density, or is it heterogeneous? Is there different zones within this? And the bigger question, Captain, I think we have is this a ship? Is this an entity? Or is this a phenomenon? And given its directed course and its approach, I think we're looking at the former two, not the last. But that's merely a hypothesis. I will need Dr. Sharp's expertise with life sciences to see if we can assess if there is some life signs or intelligence to this thing.
Now, typically with science officers I've known, you're strong on questions and you're strong on hypotheses. What I need, Kinnick, is to know how you're going to test those hypotheses and have you get on with it.
I've already explained the probe approach as step 1, sir.
Okay. So we launch a probe. And you work with Dr. Sharp to try and...
we're going to put it... maybe Hugo, Dr. Sharp, maybe you and I can work together to modify the sensor arrays on the 4 probes and then send those out.
Yes, absolutely. We should also be aware that this draining is affecting the crew as well. We should take precautions to make sure that no one is working alone and will be left unconscious in a dangerous position. And also, perhaps if this acceleration it affects us as well, then increased mental activity may have an accelerated effect on the energy drain.
Are you saying, Doctor, that we could all be struck, be disabled by this effect before we can even counteract it?
It is possible, though it seems the effect is varies and is perhaps to some extent random. But there is a risk of that, yes.
Do you think that has Dr. Johnson been able to bring around any of the victims so far?
Dr. Johnson is with the Aero Shuttle.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Have the medbay been able to bring around any of the casualties so far?
Yes, it seems the effects are temporary, but they may be worsening. We don't have enough data yet.
It is a great danger if a member of the crew was to be disabled at a crucial moment in anything. Perhaps if we could develop some form of shielding, at least for ourselves.
Well, Hugo, why don't we use medical team alert when you set your medical team a task to see whether they've come up with anything that might that they think might help. So use your medical against 2. I think this is an odd situation, so I'm going to make difficulty 4.
Mm-hmm.
And they can collectively they have an ability of 4, so it's 4 on 4 at the minute.
4 on 4, and I maxed out the dice. They've got this.
9 on 4, so that is success with style. So stimulants. The people who are having these difficulties, it's a balance of stimulus to keep their blood pressure up, but also something else in that cocktail that is just calming down erratic neural patterns.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a tricky balance, and it's not a panacea, and those drugs won't be doing people good in the long term, but as a short-term measure, that's doable. Success with style, I can give you a boost to try, because structure in the ship is both physical structure and the crew's capacity. So I think I'd let you spend that boost to have me not erode the ship's the crew's efficiency in the short term.
Excellent. Yeah. I will take that.
Okay, so that's encouraging. If the medical team can get on with that, says Prel. Koenig, you work with Sharp, find out what this thing is. Basal 733T, I need some solutions to this power drain. Yes?
Yes, sir.
Dismiss. So let's start, I think, because you had the idea first. Basal and 733T, where do we see you addressing this problem? Is this something you do from the bridge, or do you need to go to engineering or somewhere else?
Perhaps, Chief, if we were to use one of our shuttles as a test subject, we could launch it remotely and deactivate, depower it. And we could see whether or not it's still affected, how that interacts with the field.
Agreed, that would be a good course of action. We could also use the shuttle to see how our tractor repulsor beam works against known matter. I was going to suggest we used it against the Breen ships.
I was as well. Unfortunately, the Breen were taken before we could save them.
So I think that could solve 2 problems in one.
Yes, I hesitate to suggest testing out the transporter at the same time.
On inert matter, we could see how it affects inert matter.
An interesting proposal, Chief. I think
let's put a cargo unit on board that shuttle.
Yeah, let's put we'll put a shuttle and we'll put some something that we can beam back from it, and we'll kick it out into the program it to fly a distance from the ship and then initiate full shutdown.
You've got a couple of options. You could use one of your worker bees, or I'd suggest the Type 6 shuttle.
I think it's more dramatic to use the shuttle to give
Right.
a representation of the ship, because the shuttle has a warp core, doesn't it?
It does.
Whereas the worker bees, I'm imagining, is in
Battery
system.
power.
Yeah, fine.
And Vassal will pat it on the side as we're working on it and say, "Farewell, old friend."
So yeah, I think we see a little kind of montage of 733T and Vassal, getting the cargo pallet loaded onto the shuttle, and then retreating to the hangar where they can remote launch it. Meanwhile, Koenig and Sharp, what do we see of you two?
We need to test, like, as much as we can to see if we can pick up any kind of life signs, whether it is the life signs of the actual thing, if it is a creature, or if there is a vessel or control space at the heart of this, maybe something multiphasic, if we can pick those up. Can you put something like that together and I'll help you assemble that?
Yes, I have some ideas. I just want to make sure that we're not locking ourselves into the hypothesis that this is something living. I agree with your analysis.
No,
it's most likely, but
but it's either I suspect it's a living thing, or it's controlled by some form of sentience, and we need to just determine if that's the case, if either of those things are the case.
Agreed.
So what does this look like then? So working together, constructing something, is that down to Sharp's medical bioscience ability, or is that down to Koenig's engineering, or how does that play out?
I'd like it to be Sharp take the lead on this.
Yeah, agreed.
I was about to say that based on Loa's description before, I think I'm doing the thing we're sending out, and then Koenig is doing handling the probes themselves.
Fine. So let's I'm thinking difficulty here is, I think, 3. I don't think that this is breaking ground. So difficulty is 3. Sharp, this is med sci, and I think that probably this is teamwork from Koenig if you want it.
Yeah. I'll just, I won't spend a fate point, but I'll give you a +1.
Cool.
So you're rolling in effect with +5 to start with, against only 3.
Is there something you want to say when he's about to roll? There's no chance he could fail.
So,
I wasn't going to mention. No.
I've already rolled, and I rolled badly. That's a -3 on the dice, which puts me at 2 against 3. But I think I will spend a fate point and invoke my idealistic human chief medical officer, who is curious about how the universe works.
That works for me. So you get a reroll.
Oh, I'll take the +2.
Fine. Okay. So you launch this thing, yeah. And I think what we see, because it'll be quicker to get this off the ground and launched. Now there was an idea of launching these 4 probes one ahead, one behind, one right, one left.
Yeah.
Still, rear sensors reveal the star field, so it's a front coming at you, is what I think I can tell you already. And there's kind of, we see you seeing data coming in. There's the probe is throwing data back at you, and then At a certain point, blip, the one that's going ahead of you ceases to exist, or disappears.
Mark.
Stops signaling. But you've got quite a good estimate then of how far away this front is. And it is moving quite swiftly towards you. Readings just before it stopped sending, you get some brief signal at the boundary. So I think at this point, what I can tell you is that you are getting something at that boundary, which is not just, inorganic physics. There is something to be learned at that boundary. Okay.
Okay.
73T and Vassal, we've seen you setting up the shuttle. What do we see this shuttle doing? And what do you then do? I'm imagining Vassal in the hangar, piloting remotely.
No, I mean, I think it's as good as entering commands into the computer. 733T doing similar on a different panel, right? And then we step back, double tap the comms badge, and then the inside of the ship, like a light comes on, and it just begins to drift out of the
on a pre-programmed route.
Yeah. And then obviously being data readouts and everything,
Of course. You won't be getting as detailed readouts as Koenig and Sharp got from the probe. But you're getting, you'll get distance and speed and all the rest of that.
Yeah, I mean, our major, with the major objective is to move it away and then turn it off, to see what effect that has.
Fine. So you move it to, halfway between what Koenig is telling you is how far away this front is. You move to maybe halfway to there and then power it down. Yeah. And it's fair to say that while it's not losing power as quickly, you are still getting, drain from its power source.
Is it moving towards at the same rate?
It is moving towards, or is the front moving towards it?
Yeah, there's the distance closing at the same
closing.
Speed.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
I will look at
slower than you are. But it is closing.
Well, it may buy us some time then, 733T, but it would cripple our attempts to escape.
Using the repulsor beam, which clearly doesn't follow any physics model in any shape or form, we're going to push against the shuttle.
Push against the shuttle. Okay.
We don't want to draw the shuttle to us.
Right. You want to push it away, or push yourself away from it. I'm not quite certain.
Well, the physics doesn't really work, does it?
No, it doesn't. What are you hoping is going to happen, Chief?
Well,
what's your desired outcome?
Yeah, we want to go in the opposite direction to the shuttle.
Right. So you're hoping to brake against the shuttle. Okay, let's have you. There is a console activity, comms and transporters, when you obtain a transporter lock and try to do something useful.
Well, we've got the transporter thing. That's the final thing we want to do. So would this be actually more of a bridge thing for Sal to...
Okay. Yeah,
I mean,
that's fine.
Let's say that the beam's in place, but he wants to sort of push against it.
I misunderstood. Okay, so let's go to the repulsor first, which is using somewhere. Oh, I thought I had a move for that. Never mind. Let's have you roll with. I think this is secure. I think this is weapons. I think repulsor tractor counts as a weapon. So let's have someone roll with the ship's weapons. I think probably Vassal. That's probably you, assisted by 733T.
Sure.
I am shitloads better at security than you, though.
Oh well,
but
fair
I think-
enough. You.
But
do
I
the
don't want to
deal-
hog the.
No,
you know,
no,
human
no.
thing's
I
more of
think
a-
I thought we were rolling with the ship's rating instead.
You are, but if security exceeds weapons,
Oh,
then
then
you could get a bonus.
733 immediately. I think Vassar will,
It's a
well,
team effort.
yeah, it's a team effort, yeah. But
Fine.
Sapper's the way, of course. So,
So go ahead, roll. Ooh. Difficulty here, I think, is 4. Just say that before you roll. Sorry.
Well, yeah, with the +1, I've got 4, so I need to roll flat, and I didn't. But
So you're
tech can
currently at
overcome.
-3.
Tech can overcome any problem. So,
And what do we see you doing then to illustrate that aspect in action?
I think this is modulating the harmonics of the repulsor beam to try and sort of link in with whatever the energy that we think is against it. Oh yeah, so let's have some
Being moved up and
sliders.
down a panel.
I have some good analog sliders that you can move
Yeah.
up and down.
Absolutely. So yeah, do you want to re-roll or just want the +2?
Would +2 get me anywhere? I don't think
think
so.
it would, because you're flat at the moment, aren't you? You're
Yeah,
at -3, I think.
Yeah, let's have a re-roll.
Fine. Spend the fate point. Oh, that's better.
So what was the difficulty?
The difficulty was 3. Was 4, sorry. So I think you're tied.
I will spend a point of stress. This is clearly draining my power bank.
I go with that. Yeah. You achieve your goal. You do get, you get a bit of purchase on the shuttle, and it holds you steady with respect to the shuttle. But of course, the front is still closing on you.
Okay, so from that we can ascertain that the front is moving.
Yes, and you can also work out the rate.
Excellent.
And you can check that against what Koenig, you know what time Koenig and Sharp's probe disappeared, so you know how far it's moved relative to that. So yeah, you now know how close it's coming, and it's coming on quite quickly. You should know.
I just want to take a moment before we go further. Is this not the period where we should be trying to discover aspects and stuff rather than overcome challenges?
Well,
that's what I believe that we're all.
That's why I asked what the objective here was, and the objective was to try to break.
Yeah, I see.
So if you want to find out something about it, I get.
Well, then I believe that was our initial intent with the shuttle, right? So
Okay.
which there, but I will, looking at 73T and our series of failures, essentially, right? Like what we tried hasn't worked here.
Yeah.
Well, I will initiate the transporter test. Chief Chew.
And what's your objective here?
It is to see. I believe the objective here is to see how does this phenomenon interact with our transporters.
Okay.
I think that's another aspect that we can carry over, right? Because
yeah, that's fine. So this is so you want to know, you want to be able to transport out of this situation if you found yourself in it.
Yeah, I want to transport it back, and if we successfully get it back, we're probably out of are we out of transport range with the entity itself?
Which entity?
Oh, the void. Sorry, the void.
The phenomenon.
The phenomenon.
I don't quite understand what.
Well, if we beam, what would happen if we tried to beam something inside of it? Who knows?
Oh, I see. Well, you're perfectly at liberty of doing that.
Yeah. Well, maybe that'll be my next action. Sorry, I'm doing that thing where you stack up your unanswered questions.
Exactly.
Because
you don't have any answers to questions.
Yes.
So let's. The objective here is to see, can you transport it back?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
How do our transport function within this area?
Yeah. I'm not going to make you roll for that. I think you will be able to transport it back. I think that's probably simple because it's inanimate, and therefore the pattern buffer is relatively a straightforward task. But it is interfering with that because there is that energy drain, and the pattern buffer is having to compensate for lost energy in transmission.
Well, as I suspected, the transporters are too unreliable in this field to safely transport the crew.
We're not going to get off by that method.
I think enough time has passed now to suffer some more energy drain. So Dr. Sharp's medication regime means that structure doesn't change, but you need to lose ops another 2 from the other systems.
Let me just spin that sideways. Well, we lost 2 from engines anyway, didn't we?
You lost 1 from engines, I think, in the end, didn't you?
No, it was take 2.
Oh, right. Then it should be down at 1 already.
Okay.
You need to lose another 2. Which systems do you want to start sacrificing the effect?
Let's lose 2. We're at red alert. We've got shields up, so let's take 2 hits to shields.
Okay, there you go. Fine. So shields are being drained to maintain other systems. I think this is probably the point where we have some kind of reconvening to decide what next steps are. What news, team? Says our disillusioned Captain Prell. Not really expecting much. There's almost a sense in which he's come to peace with this.
I would like to offer a compel here.
Please do.
So obviously the captain isn't going to be getting any, will be refusing Sharp's treatment for fear of it debilitating themselves. But here's the other thing. Our captain has 2 things in him that both use power. One is a trill and one is the cybernetic implant. And I think it would be interesting if the captain goes out.
Oh my goodness me. That is so sweet. I wish I'd thought about it. So the captain clearly seems to be not at his sharpest, Doctor. Has refused the treatment and kind of just slumps out of his chair.
Number 1.
Well,
Dr. Sharp can now, under general orders, remove the captain from command as he is medically unfit.
I think the captain should be removed to med bay.
Yeah. Sharp to sick bay. 2 to transport.
No to transport.
No transport. No transport.
Physical transport. Ensigns, take the captain down to med bay. We cannot use the transporters, Dr. Sharp. They are dangerous in this field. Well,
thanks for letting me know.
As our captain is fond of saying, options. The chief and my experiments with the shuttle were unproductive. All we have discovered is that draining power does not help us, and that the transporters are dangerous to use.
There is something at the edge of this, number 1, that certainly Dr. Sharp and I picked up some signal from that forward thing. It may indicate that passing through leads to some other side. It may be a signal from the Breen. We don't know. But I think we need to get a shuttle, and I think we need one person to pilot and one person to analyze the situation. I volunteer for the latter.
Chief, Are you willing to take command of the Monty? Well, you know what? We could all go, couldn't we? All four of us could go. We could have a full-on bridge away team on the shuttle.
It does seem like to actually do this would require the full suite of our abilities.
No, I want you to say that, and then I'll say I appreciate the sentiment, Lieutenant Koenig, but in a situation this desperate, we're going to need every skill on board. We could lose communication with the Monty and no longer have access. Dr. Sharp, Chief, I need you with me on the shuttle.
For the shuttle. I was going to knock Koenig out just before he got on the shuttle and jump on it myself. But,
I know.
And then there's a moment where everyone around the table looks at the other person sat at the end of the table, who is Ensign Thavilic, who will become senior officer. And Thavilic looks at you, Vassal, and says, "Does that mean what I think it means, sir?"
It does, Ensign. I believe you are more than ready for the job.
Ensign Thavilic, you have the con.
I will note, number one, that you can give a temporary field increase in rank.
Hi, you are acting lieutenant while we are away. Thavilic. I'm sure
yes, sir.
I'm sure you will do the Montgomery proud.
And I think, as we see him go to assume position to take the command chair, there's that kind of hoorah.
Yeah. Did we send off our own shuttle?
Say again?
We have another shuttle, don't we? We have another one.
Yeah, you've got several, yeah. So, Type 9 or Type 6?
What's the difference?
Is slightly more. If you look at the auxiliary craft, you will see that the Type 9 is rather more capable, in as much as it is both agile and has a phaser array, whereas the Type 6 has neither of those characteristics. What do we think?
let's take the Type 9.
Yeah. That way, if we need to, we can expend the extra batteries from the phasers and things.
Fine. So yes, it has more capacity in that respect. So Thavilic, Thavilic to the hangar bay. Good luck. And then what do we see? I think Vassal, you're at helm. I'm probably seeing Koenig next to you, because there are two seats, pilot, co-pilot, and then two kind of rumble seats in the Type 9. Where 732T and Dr. Sharp are located. Vassal, describe.
To be fair, I think it's actually 733T who's in the other pilot seat, because my con is 0.
I just assumed you'd wanted to run those sensors.
I'll be with the sensors back here but I'm not touching the pilot stuff.
You can do anything in Star Trek from any panel other than fly the ship.
Of course you can.
It's always the way. But I'm imagining this as like all of us, like the camera angle from behind as we come out through the shuttle comes out from the ship, and then just that black void growing ever larger and larger. And a slow pull back out, and then dun dun dun.
I think Sharp is like in his seat, and he has brought like everything he could grab from sickbay, and he gives it's Koenig back there with him. I think he turns and kind of gives him a almost giddy smile, like, this is exciting.
This is very, very interesting. I kind of hope it's a life form, but maybe that's being dumb. I don't know. The possibilities are amazing.
Truly are.
Yeah.
And so we see you. Vasal, are you just going to drift towards the front, or are you moving towards it actively?
I think that you know what, like, can we have established that the projected power drain is longer, is more intense if we drift towards it? Just because I think that there's much more, like that's the push as we accelerate towards it, right? And the engines light up and we go race for.
And of course, Koenig is calling out, distance,
7.3 point Mark 5, Mark 4, Mark 2.
The Montgomery's bridge, like just the sound of it coming over the sensors as we go towards it, and Tavalic going, what should we say the shuttle's called?
We had a naming convention, didn't we?
Yes, it's Great Houses of the Landsrad. So pick a great house apart from House X.
You pick one, because I know the two that are two on the nose.
This has to be the Atreides, doesn't it?
It's got to be the Atreides, really.
Yeah, it's the Atreides. Atreides, signal, give me your mark. And then
and on the bridge, we're seeing the readouts coming through, and Tavalic is, gripping the edge of the command seat as you get further away from him, and he's giving brisk orders, and you're getting really close to this boundary layer, this front, whatever you want to call it. Koenig, what do you do?
I think we're trying to. I want to boost our sensor apparatus, because we know we've got that moment when we hit that edge that we're going to get that signal. I want to be absolutely prepared for it. So I think that's more kind of doing a create advantage.
Fine. Create an advantage. I don't think that's difficult. I think difficulty is 2 here. Create an advantage to be, able to capture as much as possible. So tuning the instruments.
So that is just a 2, so boost.
Fine. Do you want to, can you bump that up?
I want to sit on those fate points, so I'll just take
I'm more than happy to assist.
Oh, and in which case it would be 1 over, so I would create an advantage.
Yeah, create an advantage. Discover a new aspect, or create. Yeah. So succeed.
Has to be 2 invoke. 2 invokes, because I would have an additional 2 on that because of my thing.
Because of your skill.
Yes.
So what do you want to call that?
Sensor boosts.
Fine. With 2 free invokes. Because you did so well with that, I will also tell you that, just as an extraneous fact, you pick up an incoming warp signature, and a small ship pops out of warp, not far away from you, and accelerates towards the front.
What kind of ship?
A ramshackle shuttle of some sort. 733T, you're at ops. What do you do?
Have we got a tractor beam?
No.
Ooh.
And you're too far away from the Monty for the Monty to interfere.
Don't really want to fire on them. Let's try and speak with them. Hail them.
Hail them.
Unknown ship, identify yourself.
Yes, let me just add someone to the if I can do sometimes the cut and paste just doesn't work. You don't get visual, you just get voice. And the voice says, this is Luminary Prarim. I am here to see the angels.
Do we know anything of this person?
I don't think so. I'd be very surprised if anyone has come across Luminary Prarim before.
Prarim, you must abort your course. You're about to head straight into a phenomenon that has destroyed several green planets and multiple starships.
This is a divine incarnation of the wonder that is the universe. And it is the nature of my order to seek it and experience it.
I mean, they're going faster than us towards the
They
phenomenon.
popped out of warp, so there's a degree of momentum, I always think, when you come
Yeah,
out of
yeah.
warp. So they are going to cross into it marginally ahead of you unless you accelerate.
I mean, we're heading in the same direction. I think, and I don't think that like we're in a position to try and stop them, because that's what we're trying to do anyways, and we can't do that without killing them with our phasers and stranding them. So I think that the Vassal will just say, well, at least we'll have some company.
And that, I think, is the point at which we'll take our next commercial break. Back
Could it
in
not
our
be,
seats.
is it not when the two ships hit the void?
Well, I think,
Okay.
we see you
Come
heading
on.
towards this,
Yeah.
and we know you're going to cross the boundary.
I forget that American TV shows have like 6 advert breaks, so
Just as well we don't. Back in our seats on the hour?
Yep.
See you then. We come back from that kind of commercial break to cut to the inside of the cabin, where all of you, with the possible exception of 733T, I'm not certain yet, are kind of there is an ear-piercing noise that fills the shuttle cabin. And eye-wateringly unpleasant. Everyone takes a point of stress. Just so much noise. And I think this is just as well that Koenig set up sensors to try and pick up as much as possible without having to be on the console, because it was just so difficult. So I think we're looking at conduct a sensor sweep, or so go ahead, conduct a sensor sweep. I think difficulty here is only 2.
What are the sensors on the shuttle?
Oh, sorry, that's a very good question. They're in the auxiliaries. Let me think.
I assume it's
are 2.
2. Okay. So I'm rolling and taking with a +2, and then taking potentially 2 shifts.
Hopefully, yeah.
So that's flat. So that total is a 2. I will burn one of the.
Hugo is back there with you.
Oh, that's a good point.
Could Hugo just be assisting? Because you've worked together to try and work out what you're looking for. So I think that gives you +1.
1 plus the 2 shifts I get means it's a 3.
Success with style. So in terms of ask a question, clearly there is a barrier here. And what you were picking up with the probe, I think, was just evidence of some kind of barrier, some kind of not physical membrane, but something's going on at that boundary. And now you have 2 questions you can ask me.
So that's what we pick up before we hit it.
Yes, the moment you kind of hit it,
the other vessel is going to hit it before us. Do we get an energy release that seems to signal to me it has just blown up?
No.
I go, I think we're going to pass through. The other ship isn't destroyed. And then I'll hand the other question off to the team.
What do we want to know at this point? Let me start with Sharp, because you've been most involved in investigating this boundary layer or what lies beyond it.
I'm not sure I can think of a question that's useful at this point, because we're going to hit it no matter what. So, if anyone else has something.
Brace for impact.
Just as well you did, otherwise you'd all have fallen out of your chairs when that sound went off. Basal?
Is there anything more that we might find out about the luminary himself?
Yeah, I mean, there is the luminary's ship. You know, just some distance ahead. I will tell you for nothing, all the stars have disappeared now in all directions. So clearly you are inside this space. And 733T, definitely you are getting some power drain.
I've marked stress.
Everybody marks some stress. And I'm still waiting for two kind of particular questions.
Oh, well,
what? Sorry, one. You asked me about luminary.
but we're actually through the void now, right?
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. You're through the boundary layer.
What can we
You're
see?
Nothing.
Nothing.
It's just you know, dark. There are no stars in any direction. The luminary is there. You're still under power, but you know that it is draining power.
And we're still being drawn in the same direction.
Keenick is muted.
Visal's question, and then I want to know if we can see the Breen.
Okay. Vasal.
We're still being moved in the same direction,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But again, it's even more difficult now to tell whether you're moving or whether this space is moving around you.
Yeah. I mean,
you know, there's no point of reference anymore.
Yeah. I mean, if we're, you know, the obvious question from the two questions is what else might we scan in? Is there anything else at all that we can find on our sensors in here?
Yes, I think that you will pick up the 4 now derelict Breen ships. And they are much further ahead than you are and still being drawn forward.
No life signs on the Breen ships?
Let's have you see what I can see. Again, sensors are 2. I think, given the circumstances, difficulty is 3 here.
Yeah, no idea.
No, can't get anything. The
sensors
again,
are swallowed in the void, Captain.
Exactly. It's just like throwing pebbles into a well.
We will have to move closer if we are to scan the Breen ships for life, I believe.
Well, you are moving in the same direction they are.
Yeah, but we're
some distance behind.
Unless we add power, presumably at the same speed as they are, right? Like, yeah. I'll open a channel to the luminary.
What a wonder is this? And I've added luminary Prarim now to the NPC tab. He's a Hawati. We have transcended to a higher place. The angels will come to us now.
The angels. How did you know that this miracle was taking place?
There were reports of the loss of a beacon, and then a broadcast suggesting that there was a new dark matter nebula, and dark matter nebulas are known to house the angels.
The angels.
Tradition speaks of this. Our law speaks of this.
Most fascinating. And I will turn around to Dr. Sharp, I think. And I'll say, Dr. Sharp, what data do we hold on the luminaries or their beliefs in the angels?
Let's have you interrogate the computers, I guess. Sharp. So yeah, let's have you roll with ship's computers, which again I think is 2 on the shuttle. Yeah, 2 in everything apart from shields. And Symed to interpret it.
Yeah, and I get -3 on the dice. So
well, fail at a major narrative cost. Succeeded at a major narrative cost, surely.
Yeah, sure. Let's go for it.
And you begin to accelerate towards the Breen ships or whatever they're moving towards. And there is only one report that links this idea of angels to anything in your logs. 103 years ago, the USS Enterprise reported an encounter with what it described as an anti-space, at the center of which was an organism. And it even has, let's see if this will work. It does work for once. That's good.
Oh, it's the space amoeba.
You wanted a call back.
Awesome. Terrified me as a child.
And the Enterprise was following up on the disappearance of the USS Intrepid, which you all attended the memorial for at Gamma 7.
Vassal mutters the Intrepid under his breath, you know.
And the loss of all those Vulcans.
Yeah.
And this, it all matches now. You know, sharp. You've got the Enterprise's after-action reports, talks about this piercing noise, this pain, this energy drain. It reports what I think you've already discovered is that when you try to reverse, you accelerate towards it. What are you going to do? Because you are being drawn towards the center of this negative space, this anti-space.
Well, presumably there's something there about how they solved it. So
they solved it. Yeah, indeed there is. They solved it.
Oh, the Enterprise. They had all the good adventures.
They did. They're legendary. The way they destroyed it was by launching an antimatter torpedo into this organism. And the antimatter acted as though it was not antimatter. So antimatter knocked out anti-space was the theory. There is a challenge with that solution.
Sadly, the Atreides does not possess an antimatter warhead. Neither, I believe, does the Montgomery.
But the Breen might.
Mm-hmm.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. Panned up to the thing, cut back in on the inevitable, like repeating the thing for the audience, right? Like, we need an antimatter warhead, and it may be on one of those Breen ships. I'm plotting a course to take us near the closest one.
You by what you discover is that by accelerating, you slow down your progress. It's the flip side of your previous experience of reverse accelerates you. So what you need to do is to jam the shuttle into reverse, and accelerate in towards this thing.
Into forwards. We don't want to go back, do we? We want to go forwards.
You do,
yeah, but
yeah. When you mark acceleration, you slow down. When you try to reverse, you are accelerated towards it because this is anti-space.
Vassal, one of the challenges they pose you at the Academy is flying a spaceship in reverse, but it usually operates slightly differently than this.
I am going to start taking some power away from you. So 73T, where do you want to lose 2 from? Which of these Type 9 shuttle? You'll need to go to the auxiliary craft where you'll find them.
Let's spread it evenly, but I think with as we are speeding away from it, let's go for structure and engines.
Okay, 1 from each.
Yeah.
Okay. So you are being drawn more quickly towards as once you move your engines into reverse thrust, you are being drawn more quickly towards this. And because the Breen are dead in the water, so to speak, you are now closing on them quicker than they are closing on whatever's at the middle of this space. And I think probably we cut to you approaching the Breen, these 4 Breen ships just drifting forwards. Prarim is in communication all the time, and he's saying, "I see what you're doing," and he jams into reverse to keep level with you. Have you seen the light? Do we go seek the angels?
Luminary Prarim, I must warn you that the entity that you speak of as an angel is a mega monocellular creature life form that feeds upon the material universe. It will surely lead to your destruction if you approach it.
But the angels are known to bring good luck and to be beneficent.
To whom, Luminary Prarim?
Our law speaks of this.
Tell that to the Breen.
The ships you have pointed out to me, they may have behaved aggressively towards the angel, and it took action against them. That is deeply regrettable.
I cannot argue with
You're
it.
looking thoughtful.
Yeah.
I will say, kind of off comms, I'll say, I will prepare materials for boarding the Breen ship, sir. Probably shouldn't tell our angel collector here that we're looking at blowing his collection up.
Agreed.
Agreed. I want a transport lock on his life signature as soon as possible before we enact any plan.
Okay.
No one needs to die today. No one needs to die today if we do our jobs correct.
So 73T, it sounds like you're being asked to create an advantage, secure lock on the luminary.
We have a lock on the luminary.
I think difficulty here is 4 because transporters don't behave well in here.
No, and even with assistance from somebody, that's not going to get anywhere near that. I'm not going to take any stress.
There's always the fail, and the GM says how things get complicated.
So we're not teleporting him now, by the way.
No, we're not teleporting. It's only creating an advantage. No, I just don't think I can get. I can't get a lock on him.
Okay. So that is fail, and GM says how things get complicated. And things get complicated because how are you going to get into the Breen ships?
Well, we'll dock manually.
What's the plan? Manual dock. Oh yes. Let's have you manually dock with a ship you've never docked with before, Vassal. If only AD was here. She's a starship expert.
Exactly. Yes. Well, luckily she's lectured Vassal at length. Okay.
So let's have you maneuver.
Is that
difficulty? I think is 4 because you know.
Yeah. Luckily, I'm an excellent pilot, so
you are.
Yeah, it's +3 on the dice.
Turns out you are.
Yeah.
So you come up to what looks to be a docking bay, and it appears to have what would pass for a universal lock in this universe, and so the shuttle is perfectly mated. The back of the shuttle is where the hatch is, and it mates against a hatch on the side of the Breen ship. There must be suits in the locker, mustn't there?
Yeah.
And if there are, who's going aboard?
7-3, the chief is clearly.
Yeah. Who? Anybody going with him? Or is this a lone exercise?
I'll look at the doctor. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if there are any survivors.
I mean, I imagine this in classic Star Trek form of you'd never leave the pilot on the ship. You always go out with your full crew. You never do the thing that you do in real life of actually like splitting yourselves up in a fallback position. So unless Keenan doesn't want to go, I'd suggest that we all go.
No, let's all go.
And so we see you in the suits, just because we don't know what conditions are like in there. Those Breen wear breathing apparatus. What's that about? And there's a kind of as you have to manually crank open the Breen end of the connection. And there's got to be dim, flickering lights. Emergency lights are all that's working on here. And then the automatic defense mechanisms to kick in. 73T, I'm going to compel you to be at the sharp end here because you always lead the way. Dodge, I think. So what's your con against 3? Oh, you are muted.
1.
Okay, so 1 versus 3.
Well, that's dead even currently. So let's have success at a narrative cost.
No, you're okay. If you tie on defend or dodge, if you could be harmed, you just take 1 stress.
Okay, well, I can be harmed.
So you leap to one side and you take a point of stress as it looks like a one-shot, defense against borders that's gone off here.
Maybe some sort of a conventional, like explosive or firearm, right? Because it's not easy, right? Like it's like a
plug gun.
And then
I would love if that bounces off a metal part of 733T, tink.
Minor damage.
And you move deeper into the ship. Yeah. Now, I'm inclined to say that that's a good point.
Oh, yeah.
For our pause, to be honest.
That's perfect.
Yeah. So I think we will pause a bit early there because I think that is a natural break for next time on Fate of the Quadrant. So we leave it at that point. Let's have a quick stars and wishes. In the order I can see you. Andish, any stars, any wishes?
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. I don't think I've ever done a weird space phenomenon in a game before, so this was very cool. Yeah, as usual, everyone's doing a great job playing to Star Trek tropes and all of that. It's fun just being here. I really enjoyed the scene with Keenick at the start.
Any wishes for next time? Anything you want to happen to Sharp or anyone else?
No, nothing that comes immediately to mind.
Okay. Paul, any stars, any wishes?
Yeah, I loved Andish's sort of curious investigation of my character. I thought that was done very, very nicely. I liked Lowell's impromptu sort of band session at the start, sort of playing the upside down balisette or whatever it is. I was just hoping you were going to progress that to some jazz band, all with sort of like fake names. If so, could I be Milton Keynes, which I think is a great name. And Will, every time we play, you really work so hard to bring other players together in various scenes, and you really do explore the. I don't think anybody's sort of jumped on second characters really as much as you. And that's really good to see because you bring each of them to life. They're just not extensions of your main character, so that's really good to see. And good episode, Alan. quite varied, quite hidden, mysterious. Yeah, very different from the previous episode. Good in itself, and different. Nice. Wishes going forwards. No, a bit more of the same. That's fine. Something to shoot's always nice, but
No, you had that last time. Will, any stars, any wishes?
I enjoyed the opening. I really enjoyed Captain Prowl voicing the concerns and fears around this unique Borg that claims to have freed itself from the collective and has powers beyond any reclaimed person. And I enjoyed all of the the Koenig, the Bajoran bit. That was particularly great, and Hugo Sharp. I like that we got more Hugo Sharp in scenes beyond Medbay this session. And I would endeavor to keep that up, because Medbay is a place that you visit in a Star Trek episode. It's rarely a place that you spend much time in, unless that's the whole point of the episode, right? I'd say Strange New Worlds.
That's some kind of bottle episode.
Yeah, a really good freeform sort of like investigation-y type thing, like a merchant ship that points us towards the Ferengi, that then takes us into the Breen thing. Like, it's a natural. It feels like one of those Star Trek, like you're getting deeper and deeper in thingy. And I knew that this was a going to be the episode that you did something that was in the original series, because I remembered the wish from last time. But I thought we also brought a lot of the lightness that we were hoping for at the start, amid all of it. Wishes wise, I think that we're already set up for much of what I want to have. I mean, if someone has to pilot an entire Breen spaceship into the thing and detonate it manually, that's always on the cards, right? But I think the problem with all these games is that we would all be racing to be the sacrifice to throw our character away into the thing. Not Koenig.
No, I can compel Koenig away from that.
Yes, yeah. Other wishes wise, I would like to, having set up some of this stuff, like the 5 of 8 has been identified, who she was beforehand. The Starfleet are getting slightly more concerned about their, their drone Wonderchild on board the Montgomery, which is probably why they're there to begin with, right? And we've seen 31 snooping around. I think that a day is probably quite curious about who was 733T before all this. They've shown no interest. Why is that? Like that nagging kind of like, who is like the stop hiding behind the collective? God damn it, that sort of thing. So I'd love to set some of that up in the future.
Oh, I like that. The idea of somebody investigating 733T. Yeah, no, that's cool. Lowell, any stars, any wishes?
I just really enjoyed it overall. Like, I had a really good time. We got some classic Star Trek bits. Again, the Section 31. I always like when you have scenes of the characters doing dumb hobbies. So that's why I wanted that. I liked seeing Sharp on deck. Like, they were just like, I really enjoyed it. Like, I don't know if I have something that I could really point to. It just that it was generally felt like a good episode, and it was cool for that. I don't think I have any wishes. I just want to see where the rest of this goes.
Okay. Well, stars from me. The look on your face, Lowell, when you realized it was the Space Amoeba, that was worth a very great deal to me. Thank you for that.
Oh, here's a star. Thank you for letting me compel the captain.
Yes,
in that bit.
That was very good. That I right back at you. And yes, I have to say I enjoyed dressing down 733T. And I enjoyed the scene between 733T and our day afterwards. And likewise, and thank you, Will, I think, for nudging me away from locking Hugo in the sick bay again. Because last time he couldn't get out because 733T had evacuated the corridors. So, for me to lock him there again would have been criminal. So thank you for that. No, I had a great time with that, and I actually quite enjoyed rewatching the original episode, which is just.
I had read that entire thing back to front because it's also one of the only references towards what Vulcan ships are like, you know. And I was like I've been trying to get as much like, what are Vulcans like beyond Spock? Oh, they're all kind of a lot like Spock. It's
Yeah. So right, I will stop the recording there.